3 years after initially defaulting on the debts, the Zambian government has agreed in principle to restructure the debt with a steering group comprising holders of $3 billion in Eurobonds. Now, the Finance and National Planning Ministry says an agreement has been reached on the major commercial parameters of a proposed overhaul of its bonds for 2022, 2024, and 2027. As part of the agreement, over $700 million in claims will be permanently waived, and during the country's International Monetary Fund program time, decreased debt servicing payments will provide approximately $2.5 billion assistance in cash flow. The Hakainde Hichilema government has suffered a long delay in restructuring $13 billion in external debt, including $3 billion of foreign currency bonds since the 2020 default under his predecessor. Now, to further discuss this, I'm being joined by Emmanuel Zulu, an economic analyst and member of Zambia Civil Society Debt Alliance. Thank you so much for being here, Emmanuel Zulu.
Thank you. It's been actually a pleasure for me to be here.
It's a pleasure having you as well. All right, now, Emmanuel, Zambia was the first African country to default in the COVID-19 era in late 2020, but its restructuring process has been beset by delays. Now, 2 years down the line, we finally have something to move forward with. Why were there so many delays in getting this process started and also moving?
Well, I think first of all, the nature of the debt composition, I think, really impacted on the debt process of restructuring. I think this is the first time that we are dealing with a composition of both multilateral lenders as well as private lenders or commercial lenders. Where we have this debt mountain. I think the resolution of the debt really depended on how we are going to maneuver around, this complex composition of the creditors. So that in itself, that triggered, the delay because we had different interests. The commercial lenders are looking at, the profit interest, as well as the multilateral lenders as well had their own, interests. So to resolve this was quite complex for Zambia, and also, the nature of the debt itself that was acquired. We are talking about, the commercial debt being acquired in huge quantities within a short period of time, and seeking to resolve that. The major aspect probably would have been actually the bondholders. We know that this is money that belongs to people that we are also expecting a return. So I think that really triggered the delay, and also just the coming on board of IMF was actually another, challenge that Zambia faced, especially with the previous government. I think the commitment wasn't really, put in to show that Zambia really needed to get on an IMF program. But I think after the change of government, we saw that the government in power was really committed to have this debt mountain resolved, and they were really ready to commit, to being on an IMF program and going through, the official creditors committees, debt restructuring program. As you very much know, that this is a new program that is intended to actually provide relief for debt, burdened countries such as Zambia. So it is a new program, but I think we needed to first of all, get on an IMF program and get that, approval from the IMF for us to also get to benefit from the OCC. And from the OCC, of course, we had now a leverage to even approach the commercial lenders. So the process in itself, I think, took a drag, mostly because of the inertia that we saw with the previous government to committing to an IMF program.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you so much for that enlightenment. But then Zambia's international bonds rose after the announcement, with some bonds gaining as much as 3.9 cents on the dollar. Now, is the rise tied to the deal, and is it too early to draw any conclusions about investor confidence?
Definitely. If you look at, Zambia's credit ratings, they were actually very poor. And the debt to GDP ratio was actually something above 100%, which actually discourages investment. So with this relief that we got, especially from the OCC. We know that we got about 6.8 debt restructured. That is quite a huge amount of debt. Then with bondholders, I think that was where we had a very big challenge. But seeing to it that we have come to this conclusion, where they have actually agreed in principle to restructure, the over $3 billion United States dollar debt. I think it gives hope to the investors because now it provides that fiscal space that Zambia needed, and it provides relief that Zambia is actually going to invest and actually take a positive growth trajectory. So it actually improves the credit ratings and it improves definitely investor confidence. Mostly investors were kind of holding back because they did not know the direction that these debt conversations were going to take. But with this development coming from the bondholders, I think it has actually ignited confidence, and we hope to see even increased investment flows coming through in the country.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining me on the news this morning.